A nation where jazz clubs never slept, where American mobsters strolled like royalty, where the president's palace glittered while children begged in the streets. A place where one man armed with ambition, suspicion and an iron fist ruled like a king, until the fire he tried to crush grew into a revolution that swallowed him whole. Today's story is that of Fulgencio Batista, the man whose downfall made Fidel Castro possible. Fulgencio Batista was born in 1901 to a poor sugar cutter family in rural Cuba. No wealth, no influence, but what he did have was sharp intelligence, ambition, and a knack for reading people. He joined the army as a stenographer, yes, not even as a soldier at first, but Batista was a quick learner. Before long, he positioned himself at the center of army politics and formed alliances with sergeants who felt ignored by the officers. Then came 1933, the year Cuba erupted. The Cuban people rose up to overthrow dictator Gerardo Mercado, and the army fractured. Batista seized his chance. He led the Sergeants Revolt, marched into power, and became the kingmaker of Cuba. For the first time, a man with no elite background controlled the nation's future. Soon, Batista became chief of the army and effectively the most powerful man in Cuba, long before he officially became president. In 1940, he won a fair presidential election, and here's the twist most people forget. Batista's first presidency was reformist and surprisingly progressive. He wrote a forward-thinking constitution, improved education and labor rights, worked closely with Cuban communists. For a moment, Batista looked like a leader who might modernize Cuba into a prosperous democracy, but his hunger for power didn't rest. After losing the 1944 election, Batista left Cuba for Florida, plotting his comeback. In 1952, facing another likely election defeat, he took a darker turn. He returned to Cuba and staged a military coup, seizing power again. This Batista was different, more ruthless, more paranoid, more connected to the shadows. Batista opened the doors to US mafia bosses like Meyer Lansky, massive corruption, casino empires, nightclubs run by mob money, elite tourists from the US who flooded Havana's glittering streets. Havana became known as the Latin Las Vegas. Outside the capital, extreme poverty, violence, secret police roaming the countryside, opponents tortured or disappeared. Batista ruled through fear, and fear always breeds rebellion. In 1953, a young lawyer named Fidel Castro launched a daring attack on the Moncada barracks. The attack failed. Castro was captured. The world forgot him. But Batista made a mistake. He let Fidel leave. When Castro was released and fled to Mexico, he regrouped and planned an uprising with a small band of revolutionaries, including Che Guevara. From 1956 onward, Batista's army hunted Castro in the Sierra Maestra Mountains, but Batista underestimated the rebels. His troops burned villages, terrorized peasants, and executed civilians. Villagers turned against him and toward Castro. By 1958, Batista's government was collapsing from corruption, violence, loss of US support, a population too angry to stay silent. The rebels marched closer and closer to Havana. On January 1st, 1959, while Cuba celebrated New Year's Eve, Batista boarded a plane with his family, his closest allies, millions of dollars taken from the treasury. He fled Cuba forever, leaving the country in shock. Castro's forces entered Havana days later to thunderous applause. Batista lived in exile in Portugal and Spain, where he wrote books defending his rule. He died in 1973 alone, hated and forgotten by the very island he once controlled. Batista thought his iron fist would crush rebellion. Instead, it forged one. He ruled with fear, and fear delivered him to the very revolution he feared most. Without Batista's dictatorship, Castro's revolution might never have happened. In the end, Batista didn't just lose his country, he created the force that replaced him. What do you think of Batista? I'd like to know in the comment section. For more stories like this, please click on the like button, subscribe, and share.